Seth Trimble's game has clearly grown year over year. So just how big of a leap are we expecting?
This is Tyler Hansbrough, and you're listening to Locked On Tar Heels.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? It's Monday, October 21st, 2024. Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast, the only daily North Carolina show out there. I'm your host, Isaac Shade, and you're joining me at the place to get your Tar Heels content every single day. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thanks so much for making us your first listen or watch, and I want to give a special welcome to our everydayers, the Locked On Tar Heels insiders, and of course, our Locked On Tar Heels Discord members. Welcome in, everyone. Let's get right into it. This episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Okay, coming up today on the show, it is, again, Monday, October 21st. The reason I repeat that is because 2 Mondays from today is the start of the regular season for basketball. That's right. The games count in 2 weeks. But also, 1 week from today, we're going to be unpacking Carolina's final exhibition matchup against Johnson C. Smith, which is this upcoming Sunday. You guys, it's all happening. It's all coming. Buckle up. So here's what we're talking about today, though. I got a great mailbag question a little bit ago that I've been holding on to. Want to use it today. It's about Seth Trimble's growth. Really was actually the question looking ahead to next year, but we're going to talk about this year first before we even get there. Next, everybody's talking about Duke's Cooper Flagg. Let them. I'll tell you why I think that's great. And then finally, Carolina football is at a fork in the road. I almost said forkball, which is a dastardly pitch if you can get it, by the way, in baseball. But Carolina football is at a fork in the road moment. Which way are they going to go? We're going to start finding out more about the answer to that question Saturday at Virginia. And of course, our weekend Whiparound, all of that coming up. Let's get into it Seth Trimble style. This question comes from our buddy Let J-Wash Cook on the Locked On Tar Heels Discord. As a reminder all the time, if you're not part of the Discord, the link for that is in the show notes. Free to join. It's a phenomenal community with literally hundreds of Tar Heels fans in there. Okay, J-Wash Cook's question says this. Seth Trimble, his growth from year 1 to year 2 was incredible. While it would be unrealistic to expect that kind of jump 2 more times, would it? I expect some improvement going into this season and some more the following. And then his question, how realistic is it to picture Seth starting in 2025? And we'll get back to that, but also says to qualify that a bit, I don't mean starting because we missed on top guards, but starting because no freshman in the country will be better than senior Seth Trimble. So we'll get back to the starting side of it in a little bit because there's other facets of this that this makes me want to unpack. Here's what Seth's already done from a leap. Freshman year, 1.8 points. Last year, 5.2. Freshman year, 9.8 minutes a game. Last year, 17.1. Freshman year, 45.5% from the field. Last year, 47. In attempts from the field went up from 1.3 to 3.8. From 3, shot 16.7% on just 0.2 of an attempt a game last year. You know them. This is the biggest leap. 41.9% from 3 on just shy of an attempt a game. Free throw shooting from 54.8 to 66.7 last year. That's an area that still clearly needs to grow, but went from 0.9 attempts to 1.9 attempts per game. So the attempts were up. Rebounding more than doubled. 0.8 rebounds a game to 2.1. 0.6 assists to 0.9, 0.2 steals to 0.4 steals, and the turnovers stayed the same, 0.6 of a turnover a game. So I look at this and, man, Let J-Wash Cook is right. Seth had some massive jumps last year, but if what we've seen both in the blue-white scrimmage and in the exhibition at Memphis are any indication, you know, J-Wash Cook's talking about some improvement. We might see even bigger improvement than last year. Now, it might not be completely across the board. For example, I think Seth is going to have to take more threes this year. Staying at 41.9% from 3 as his volume increases is probably unrealistic. But outside of that, I think Seth probably goes up or in the positive direction in just about every category. And I say it that way because I'm hoping turnovers go down. Here's the deal with this question for me. Seth's defense, as we all know, both individual and team concept defense is in place, and it is everything you want it to be. There is no reason that he shouldn't be one of the front runners for Defensive Player of the Year in this conference. Like, he is that good. But now it really feels like he's honestly still on the front end of really beginning to be able to fully harness his athleticism and to harness and wield his offensive capability. And I don't mean that as a slam in any way. I mean that as a positive of like, man, we know the defense has always been there. The athleticism has always been there. But it really feels like what we're starting to see from Seth is that athleticism and that offensive capability starting to align themselves in a way that is going to make him dangerous, not just defensively, but now offensively too, where it's not just like, oh, whatever Seth gives you as a cherry on top. Now it's like, Seth, we're going to depend on you night in and night out for offensive production. Cherry on the top is like Drake Powell or Elliot Cadeau. Seth, if you can do this, that's what needs to happen. For example, that's part of why, JP, Toe, Seth's brother, was gone after his sophomore year. And I was like, man, I think junior JP or even senior JP is going to be just dirty in college basketball. But, we didn't get that. JP made a decision. You got to respect it. It was time to go. He had an opportunity, and so he did. Seth is sticking around, and man, he can just get after that. And what's cool about it is there is a staff at North Carolina right now that I think is perfect for helping him unlock that. Thinking about all the guards that are on staff and how they can really help, because let's be honest, none of them are the athlete that he is. Not Coach Davis, not Marcus, nobody. But they can help him continue to think as a point guard, continue to work on the fundamentals of shooting and how to just do, all of that. One example that I feel like I've seen just in these two, the scrimmage and the exhibition, is decisiveness at the rim. He started to get better at that last year, Seth did. And now it's like, yeah, vicious intent. And it's exciting. There are multiple areas of expected growth for me. One is free throw attempts. And hopefully free throw percentage as well, but specifically free throw attempts. It's a combination of a couple things for me. Number one, the lane being more wide open because of the no Armando Bacot of it all, and no player in that mold either, with the lane being more wide open. And two, Seth continuing to more fully realize and embrace his ability to get to the rim. And so, we said Seth's gone from 0.9 of a free throw per game attempt to last year 1.9 attempts. Like, I expect that to double this year. And I'm going to give you some numbers here in just a second. But not only those things, because of how hard he's been working on his shooting and his jumper, no reason Seth can't get from, where was he? 54.8 his freshman year, 66.7. I expect 75 to 80% from Seth Trimble. Legitimately, I do. So what is the expected leap? Here is what I'm looking for from Seth Trimble this year. I'll just give you some numbers. Some of them are arranged. Some of them I dialed in on a little more specifically. I'm curious to hear if you agree, and if not, where you would go differently, higher or lower than I would. And part of this is preseason expectations that I already had, now mixed with having the weekend to kind of process both the blue-white scrimmage results and the Memphis exhibition results. So here's what I'm looking at. Minutes per game, 20 to 25 average. I was already saying 20, but now I'm going to bump that up even a little bit higher. Points. Seth, who's gone from 1.8 to 5.2, I'm going to project Seth to be 9 to 10 points a game this season. I think it's very doable. Honestly, I do. Rebounds, going from 0.8 rebounds last year, 2.1, basically double that. Give me 4 rebounds a game this year for Seth Trimble. Part of that too. It could be higher because of the gang rebounding that's going to happen. And if what we're kind of projecting right now is like, I think Seth might end up playing some three. If he does that, he's going to have to rebound. And he has the athleticism to do that in space. So it could be more than 4, but that's where I've got it right now. Assists, 1.5 a game. I think that's a very modest kind of proposal, but some of that will depend on how much he is tasked with playing the 1 behind Elliot and RJ. Steals, I'd like to see Seth get up to 1 steal a game. His athleticism should enable him to do that. There's no reason why not, especially as these minutes go even higher. And then the last 3 are percentages. Field goal percentage, 47 to 49% on 6 attempts a game. That's what I'm looking for from Seth this year. 3-point field goal percentage, I think this is the area where it comes down a little bit, but still is a very, very solid percentage. I'm going to say 37% from 3 for Seth on 2 attempts a game. And then free throw percentage, I said 75 to 80% earlier. I'm going to go on the low side of that threshold and 75%. So give me 4 free throw attempts a game at 75%, meaning he'd make 3 of those 4. I think those are all legitimate numbers for Seth Trimble in 24-25. But now back to Let Jay Wash Cook's question about, could Seth start next year? First off, it's absolutely realistic, especially, heck, we're legitimately talking about, is Seth going to start? Because what we've just seen, you can't keep that dude off the court unless Coach Davis is like, that's what I want my second unit to be led by. I can understand that logic. But in order for him to start season long next year, his senior year, to me, it's about just simply continuing to grow and develop and show consistency as a shot creator, a shot maker, and as a scorer. And I'm separating scorer from shot maker, meaning like getting to the rim, getting out in transition, finding multiple ways to score at the free throw line, for example. Beyond, when I say shot maker, I'm thinking outside, right? So I think development and consistency with those 3 things, because again, the defense and athleticism are in place. You cannot teach that athleticism. That is God-given, and it is NBA level. So if he brings this together, and then I think another reason for it, another feather in the cap of Seth Trimble, is the continued development within the same program with the same coaches. Because in this transfer portal era, it's the same thing of like get old and stay old rather than, relying so heavily on freshman talent. If you can get old and stay old within the same program, man, that's just another level, because most people are not doing that. Literally, there were only 2 high major programs this offseason that did not bring in a transfer. That's Purdue and that's Marquette. That's it. Every other high major program, and I'm defining that as the Power 5 conferences, ACC, Big 12, Big East, Big 10, SEC. Literally just those 2. So when you've got players like Seth Trimble and Jalen Washington who stick around and do it, it just helps that progression all the more. So, man, I'm waiting to see it, and I think it legitimately could happen. Now, down the road at Duke is a guy named Cooper Flagg, a freshman coming in. I just kind of laughed about freshmen, but everyone is making a massive deal about Cooper Flagg and his big-time performance against a D2 opponent in Duke's exhibition this weekend. Let him. I'll tell you why I think that's important coming up in just a second. Right after I tell you about ZBiotics, which is a pre-alcohol probiotic drink and the first one in the world genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. This is how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. Well, it's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's actually to blame for your rough day the next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break down this byproduct. Just remember to make ZBiotics your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly and you'll feel your best tomorrow. And that's the 3 steps. Step 1, drink pre-alcohol. For best results, make it the first drink of the night. Step 2, drink responsibly. You should be doing this all the time anyway. Pace yourself, hydrate, get a good night's sleep. And then step 3, enjoy tomorrow. Wake up feeling refreshed and ready to take on the day. Why? Because you took ZBiotics first. So go to zbiotics.com/lockedoncollege to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use code LockedOnCollege at checkout. ZBiotics is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. So again, remember to head on over to zbiotics.com/lockedoncollege and use that code LockedOnCollege at checkout for 15% off. It was inevitable for it to be this way this year. Cooper Flagg is the number 1 player in the class coming in. He's going to Duke. So because it's the number 1 player in the class and because it's Duke, it's just this mashup of like the Beatles are coming to America. Yay! Right? Like it's that kind of level of thing. Everyone gets all worked up and everyone's all excited. It's going to be like Zion all over again. It just is going to be that. So buckle up, get ready. ESPN's going to have some kind of ticker on the bottom. Like we're going to get that kind of stuff again this year. And this weekend, everyone got all worked up because Duke played an exhibition. They're like D2 exhibition, like Carolina will play against Johnson C. Smith this coming Sunday. And everyone got all worked up over Cooper Flagg and people are tweeting about it and doing all this stuff. And it's like, oh, okay. Let me say 2 things about it. On one hand, shut up. You know what I mean? I don't care how they did against a Division II school because that's what any Division I team, especially one of Duke's caliber, should do. And that's what Cooper Flagg should do. My buddy Andy Patton, whom I host Locked On College Basketball with, joked about it as we were recording this weekend and said, like, Cooper Flagg should have done that against them as a 14-year-old. Of course he should be doing it now, right? You hear us screaming, let's hear more about Seth Trimble, we just talked about. Let's hear more about his 33 points against Memphis at Memphis. That's what America should be talking about. But they're not. It's underwhelming, and we feel overlooked once again. So, on one hand, shut up. I don't want to hear it. On the other hand, let's hear as much about Cooper Flagg and Duke love as possible. ESPN and others, bring it on. Let them talk. Let everybody blow up and prop up Duke. Let everyone forget about the Tar Heels. Let them all count us out. Why? Because it's going to make it all the sweeter when we beat them. Let me give you a couple examples. I just mentioned Zion Williamson. Think about the 2018-19 season. I know Zion went out of that first game after the shoe blowout and was out of the second game as well. But still, a regular season sweep over that Duke team, who was apparently God's gift to college basketball, beating them, oh, by the way, by 16 points and 9 points. And then even when Zion was back and Carolina played them in the ACC tournament, Carolina lost by just 1, had the ball down 1 with a chance to beat them. Kobe White couldn't get to the rim. Otherwise, I think Carolina probably wins that game. But here's a better example for me. Go back with me, if you will, to the 2021-22 season. Not to the Final Four, but a couple weeks before that, the regular season finale at Cameron Indoor Stadium. It's Mike Krzyzewski's last ever home game. And ESPN has created this whole brouhaha of everything. All the Dukies are there in their t-shirts. And it was fun. I feel like didn't the game before go to overtime or something? And there was this whole thing they were supposed to show they didn't get to show. But it was this crowning coronation moment for Duke. And it was never even thought about or considered that the North Carolina Tar Heels not only were going to actually play this game as well as Duke. It wasn't, the Harlem Globetrotters versus the Generals or whatever that is. No, North Carolina was going to come in and play a basketball game. And they actually might win it. What do you know? But it was like nobody ever considered that because they were blowing up all the Krzyzewski stuff. And I can't count the number of times we talked. That was like the first season I was doing Locked On Tar Heels. And we said all the time that Carolina went in and ruined their retirement party. And it was beautiful and brilliant and awesome. And so like that, all of that circus of it made it all the exponentially better and sweeter to get that win. And why so many people say, yeah, I love the Final Four win, but that one resonates with me even more because of what it meant to Duke and what we snatched away from them. Oh, it's so purpose. So great. So yes, go ahead, everyone. Gas up Cooper Flagg. Put his name in bright lights for everyone to see. And do the same with all his Duke cronies as much as humanly possible. Bring it on. Let's have it. We'll take it. You know why? Let ESPN put a tracker on him. Let him assume there's no way the Tar Heels could beat the mighty Cooper Flagg. And that way, when HD and the Tar Heels and what we expect to be this awesome offense come in and beat the doors off them, it'll be great. And I'm not saying it's guaranteed to happen. That's not the thing that I'm saying. I'm just saying it just makes it all the better. So sure, bring it on. So when they talk, let them talk and just nod your head and say, all right, enjoy that. We'll see you in a couple months. I want it so bad. And I know that you do too. Okay. Sunday was Tylee Craft's funeral at Sumter High School. And man, while this is a poignant moment, obviously for that family, for the Carolina family, it brings about kind of a fork in the road moment for Carolina football this season. And so I want to have a moment with that, thinking what it means for Carolina football, and then wrap up the show today with our weekend Whiparound, me letting you know everything that happened in Carolina athletics this weekend. We'll get to all that in just a second. Right after I tell you about Game Time. I said it earlier, but we are just 2 weeks away from the start of the college basketball season, and there is absolutely nothing better than the atmosphere of a college basketball game. The anticipation of what's about to happen, the energy of the crowd, the unexpected coming to life, like, oh, I don't know, beating Duke at Coach K's final regular season game again. Like a thrilling win for the Tar Heels. I'm so geeked out to experience more of those this year. And thankfully, when you want to go check that out, there's a ticketing app called Game Time that helps you get great tickets at a great price. And that's not even honestly just for sports. Game Time has tickets for all events. Well, great news. When you're getting tickets this year, Game Time has a new feature. It's called Game Time Picks. It makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. It filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through everything else. So whether it's Game Time ticket coverage, the lowest price guarantee, or the panoramic views from the seat in your app, Game Time has got you covered. You want to go to opening night, Carolina hosting Elon to kick off the season? There are tickets for as low as $19 in the upper level. You want to spend a little more, get a little closer to the action? No problem. Lower level, you can get tickets in the $50 range. It's not right up close to the court, but man, you're in the lower bowl. Go check it out. All of that on Game Time. And that helps you take the guesswork out of buying your tickets. Download the app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Terms apply. Download the Game Time app today. What time is it? Game time. Yesterday, Sunday, was the funeral for Tylee Hezekiah Craft, born October 1st, 2001, and as we know, passed away on Saturday, October 12th, 2024. Public viewing was on Saturday. The funeral yesterday at Sumter High School gym. Reverend James Smith, as well as Tar Heel chaplain Mitch Mason, was in attendance to be there and speak. And by the way, as a reminder, if you're so inclined, you can donate to Tylee's GoFundMe, which is set at $100,000 to help the family with medical expenses and all sorts of stuff. It's so close to that goal. Right now, as we record, I just checked a second ago, $95,930. That means it's just $4,070 shy. And so, man, just such a heavy, weighty day for this Tar Heels program, for the Craft family, for everyone surrounding him. Man, what an outpouring of love there's been in the week since Tylee passed away. I love the way his fellow receivers are planning to honor him. Obviously, his very close friend, J.J. Jones, wore number 13 last Saturday to honor him, caught a touchdown in his jersey. According to Lee Pace, who had a really nice write-up on GoHeels.com, the wide receivers are going to continue that trend throughout the season. So, for example, this Saturday, Kobe Paysour, instead of his usual number 8, is going to wear Tylee's number 13. So just a really cool gesture from his wide receiver brethren. And, as I think back on just the absolute difficulty of this week for everyone surrounding Carolina football, just a fortunate thing that this weekend was Carolina's open weekend to just give the team a chance to kind of reset their minds, reset their brain, reset, even I'm saying aside from football, just as humans, man, to process their buddy being gone, and to kind of then rally together and say, okay, what does this mean for us, both as humans and as a football team? How do we continue to honor Tylee well, both on and off the field, quite frankly? And I mean, and thinking of that and everything that was going on makes it all the more really laudable how well the Tar Heels played against Georgia Tech just last weekend. I know it was frustrating, but man, you mix all of this into it and it's like, wow, good job, fellas. But what it brings me to realize is that Carolina as a football team is at a fork in the road moment. Three-game winning streak to start the season, 4-game losing streak since James Madison, and then the 3 ACC games, Duke, Pitt, and Georgia Tech. Upcoming the rest of the season, just in the shorter term, I guess, at Virginia this weekend, at Florida State in 2 weekends, and then another open week. I mean, it's a pretty wide open end of October, beginning of November for the Tar Heels. And so when I say a fork in the road moment, I think it's an opportunity to really reset. And either this team packs it in and says, we're 3-4, got a losing record, 5 games left. I don't know. Or the other fork in the road, circle the wagons and go on a run here down the stretch. We've talked about it multiple times, but when you look at this ACC schedule, even the 3 games that Carolina lost, there is no game, those 3 or the remaining 5, that you look at and say Carolina can't win that football game. But as I've also been saying, you also don't look at any of those games and say, oh, Carolina's clearly going to win that game. They all could go either way. And you know me to be a little bit of a glass half full kind of guy, right? Can I give you some glass half full optimism here on a Monday as we start a new week? Carolina's first 3 ACC opponents, Duke, Pitt, and Georgia Tech, they right now are a combined 7-3, or that's 700 winning percentage in ACC play, not overall, but in ACC play. And each one of those teams individually is over 500 in ACC play. It's not just like one of them propping the other 2 up. All 3 of those teams winning record in ACC play. The 5 remaining teams on the schedule, so that's Virginia and Florida State, week off, Wake, Boston College, NC State. Those 5 teams are a combined 6 wins, 14 losses in ACC play. That's a 300 winning percentage, a lot less good than that 700 winning percentage of the first 3 teams. And each of those teams, each of the remaining 5, is 500 or worse in ACC play. And in fact, it's only Virginia that's 500. They're 2-2. The others, Florida State, 1-5 in ACC play. Wake, 1-2 in ACC play. Boston College, 1-2. NC State, 1-3. So, I mean, there is cause for optimism here. Carolina has been in these games, these 3 ACC games. Jacoby Criswell is starting to look better. You've had a week to rest up some nicks and bruises for everybody. Maybe Kamen Rucker's more of a full go now. Maybe the secondary can get some things figured out. There's just lots of what ifs that I feel like we need to kind of take a wait and see approach what things are going to look like in Charlottesville this upcoming weekend. Is this a team that has said, we've still got possibilities in front of us. We need to fight like mad for our guy Tylee, to honor and respect him. There's a lot out there that's still on the table. You win 3 of these remaining 5 games, you go to a bowl. You do. You finish the season 600 if you can win 3 of these remaining 5. You got 2 home games. That's Wake and NC State. Boy, does Carolina need to beat NC State. If you can win both of those and clip one of these road games, whether it's Virginia, Florida State, or Boston College, you're in a bowl. I mean, I know that is no given. There is no guarantee, no certainty that Carolina will do that, but they can. And I also, I'm not saying for sure that Carolina is going to win the majority of these final 5 games. They could, but I do think this is a team that's going to fight. I don't think Mac Brown has lost this locker room. I don't think that things are just done and gone and over and everyone's throwing in the towel. I think these guys have hearts that say we will keep going. So again, more on that as we go through the week and get ready for Saturday in Virginia. But that's where things are at, in my opinion, right now as we get back into game week. Very quickly, weekend Whiparound. 5 different sports continue to be in action this fall, with some of the winter sports just about to obviously start. Men's soccer, we already talked about beating William and Mary on last Tuesday, and unfortunately on Saturday, lost that top 10 matchup at home to Pitt 2-1. So the guys fall to 8-2-4, 3-2-1 in ACC play. And again, only have 2 regular season games left, one of which they got to go to number 2 Stanford this coming Sunday. That's a big time matchup and would be massive if they could get it. Women's soccer, again, same thing. We already talked about it. Beat Clemson 6-0 on Thursday. And so we keep rolling there. Same thing for these ladies. Only 2 more regular season games left at number 22 Florida State this coming Friday, and then hosting number 1 Duke next Thursday. So that is a big end to the season for the ladies. Would love to get both of those matches. Field hockey. Beat Wake Forest Friday 7-0, and then Old Dominion yesterday, Sunday, 3-1. And so Carolina now 12-0 overall, 5-0 in ACC play. Still have only allowed 5 total goals this year. No team has scored more than once on them, and they have scored 48 goals. That's right. They've outscored opponents 48-5. That's an average of 4 to 4/10 of a goal. Pretty crazy stuff there. Field hockey themselves only has 3 remaining regular season games. They host Virginia and Boston College this upcoming Friday, Sunday, and then they go to Duke that next Friday to wrap the regular season. Speaking of field hockey, I don't know if you watched the NLCS, Dodgers and Mets on Sunday night. Erin Matson got a shout out. I didn't realize her boyfriend is a pitcher for the Dodgers. Crazy. Love it. Really cool stuff. Volleyball. They just keep going, man. Went to Virginia this weekend, beat Virginia Tech on Friday, swept them 3-0, and then beat Virginia at Virginia yesterday, Sunday, in a 5-set match, 3-2. So the ladies now 15-2 overall, 7-1 in ACC play, man. Keep on going. I love it. Cross country was at the Princeton Invitational on Friday. Men finished 4th overall. Ethan Strand won the race. That's his 2nd win this year. No Parker Wolf that I could tell in the results, and so he might just have been taking the weekend off. Women finished 3rd ahead of 3 other ranked teams behind them. Bryn Brown was the leading woman, coming in 7th. As a reminder, this was the last race prior to the ACC Championships, which is in Cary on November 1st. So, great weekend for the Tar Heels. Lots of good action. Not a clean sweep, but a lot of W's all the same. All right, going to be a fun week getting ready again for football. And then we got the Johnson C. Smith exhibition this coming Sunday. So we're going to be getting ready for all of that. This will be our last What If Wednesday, because next week we'll do bold predictions. It's going to be all sorts of fun. Stick with us on Locked On Tar Heels. If you haven't subscribed to the show, make sure to do that, video and audio. We already talked about Locked On Tar Heels Discord earlier, but make sure you join that. Come for the Tar Heels, stay for the community. Again, free to join. And then if you want to go even deeper with the show, Locked On Tar Heels Insider Program, where you get to chat one-on-one through text with me, Isaac Shade, and have free access as part of that to all of my charts and stats and data right there on your computer. It's great to be able to do. All right, gang, it's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. We'll be back again tomorrow, but until then, peace.